I'm Sophie Laplane, a choreographer and co-creator of Mary, Queen of Scots.
And I'm James Bonas, and I'm director and co-creator of Mary, Queen of Scots.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to go first? I go first. James and I worked on the film Dive together. Right from the start, it was very clear for us that we didn't want to do a historical ballet. We thought that seeing it through the eyes of a dying Elizabeth and exploring her guilt towards Mary and having killed another queen, we really wanted to explore the fact that, yes, there were two really powerful queens, but at the same time, they were both women. I think, yes, it's about feeling for the both of them.
They wrote letters to each other. And so although they never met, they really, I think, knew each other. When they hear their language, it's my dearest sister, my best friend, my cousin, they were really connected. And so you have this incredible thing of two people who would have felt they knew each other, who shared a space in the world in terms of being two women at the top of patriarchies in vulnerable positions of power. They had a lot in common, and yet they never could connect in person. And then one of them had to kill the other. It's an incredible kind of dynamic to explore.
It's very much about the older Elizabeth imagining Mary, because those two women never met. That really allowed us to play with different Marys in a way. It allows us to have, for example, Mary transform herself in a spider, or the older Elizabeth imagining her younger self on top of power and being on stilts. It's playing with how older Elizabeth felt.
Sophie has an amazing imagination. So we wanted to be able to make a space where we could be playful and irreverent and serious and surprising. And so going through a kind of memory and the inconsistency of memory, the way that memory can fragment and break or become quite surreal, made a kind of world in which we could start to explore the relationship between these two women, between these two states, in a way that might hopefully feel fresh and surprising.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm Rosanna Lini, and I'm a principal dancer with Scottish Ballet. I will be dancing the role of Mary, Queen of Scots herself. I've never had a ballet created on me, so this is a big deal. Through the older Elizabeth's eyes, you see Mary as a young widow, a mother, in love, heartbroken, struggling, but above all else, she remains strong.
In the stereotypical narrative, you have a kind of uptight, sort of neurotic Elizabeth, coupled with a kind of more free-flowing, running around the glens Mary with a hare on a horse. And we were quite keen to sort of try to not do that. You know, Mary was a mother, she was a lover, she was a politician, she was a plotter, she was powerful, she could be cruel. These people are complex.
Being able to come away from the historical factual allows you a lot more freedom. Even though I am playing Mary, she has very much become me because it's been created on me. It's meant that from the beginning, when Sophie has come in to start creating movement, she's been working with me for a few years now to create the movement language for Mary. When something is created on you, it means it's that much more special, because if a movement doesn't feel quite right in your body, you know, everyone is so unique, everyone moves differently, she will change it to suit me. So everything in this ballet has been modified for my body. It's been a very collaborative effort. They've really allowed me the time to explore how I feel Mary would be, and I've tried to really embody her. The emotions actually start the movement language. How would I show that in my body if I'm feeling heartbroken or if I'm feeling betrayed? It makes everything feel much more natural, much more genuine. It feels like the more I do it now, the more I'm becoming her. It's been, you know, physically demanding and emotionally exhausting, but in all the best ways. This entire process has been one that I will cherish forever.
Really, the starting point to go through Elizabeth was this idea of Elizabeth's guilt. she kind of kept Mary alive and kept putting off having her executed, even when more and more evidence was produced, remembering that Elizabeth's father had had her own mother's head cut off. So she's in a kind of cycle of violence. And for her to choose to kill another queen, that regicide, is a huge thing. She knew it was a huge thing.
2 women were ruling at the same time in a man's world. My name is Charlotta Överholm. I'm a Swedish dancer, choreographer. I've been in the business for a while and I'm not intending to stop. I'm playing the old Elizabeth I. I find this woman incredibly interesting. I mean, she went through so much in her life and all the obstacles she had to go through while ruling England. It became her life to really just focus on her country and not so much on herself. That to me is incredible. I would like to give her a big hug. She had to do what she had to do. She had to take these decisions for her country all the time. Maybe she regrets certain things, but you know, that's how it is in life. It already happened and you have to go on. She had to become a man in the way she was thinking, but she was still a woman and that's why it was very well done, her job. No. Since it really starts in the end of her life, she's quite vulnerable and weak. I want in that also to find her strength and all the, you know, the power that she really had. Then the physical things come naturally through that. I want her to be a human being and not a queen from hundreds of years ago.
The relationship between Mary and Elizabeth, you see both queens together on the stage, but can never quite get to each other. There's moments throughout where Elizabeth does see me in the ballet, like she's reaching for me, but I never ever see her.
I'm like a voyeur, and sometimes I'm inside the scenes, watching. There is a young one inside, and I'm outside in the reality. When she looks into the world, it's her memory of what she did. And of course, he's this young 25-year-old gorgeous man playing this woman with a lot of strength and dignity. The young and the old also meet. We have some scenes together, which I really enjoy. And with me, since I'm I'm like double age as the dancers, I cannot do everything anymore. A lot is, you know, what can I do? As a performer, when you slowly can't, you know, I've had a lot of surgeries and prostheses all over my body. Instead of thinking what you cannot do, to think about what can I do? How can I develop this? What can I do to like look bigger or like move this way? It's a process still because I'm changing every day. It's very liberating actually. In the dance world, when you're younger and always you have to be best because you're competing with everyone in every audition. You always have to be very, very good and you think that you're not good enough. And it's sad that it has to take so many years and so many injuries to understand that what you have is very different than what anyone else has. And it's the same with every human being.
I'm Harvey Littlefield. I will be playing young Elizabeth. Me and Charlotta get along really well, I think. I love working with her. We're sort of similar in many ways, I feel. It's funny because I'm really tall and obviously she's a lot smaller, but when we link up choreographically, the movement reads really well in both our bodies. What's nice is we have a similar kind of theatrical gesture that links up really well between both of us. It's really, special, I think. Elizabeth was such a majestic and powerful person, yet there was this very vulnerable side to her that not many people saw. What's so special about portraying her in this light is I have these scenes where I get to be really big and powerful and beautiful and command the stage and my court. And then I have these scenes where she's really vulnerable and she's insecure and she's upset and she's human. Those are probably my favorite scenes to do because I get to tap into different things that, have happened in my life and put that into her life and try and conjoin stories to get a really authentic performance. It's been quite an in-depth thing experiencing playing a woman, but kind of just playing a person that's taking on board characteristics that have been placed upon us in a societal way. It's a really unique kind of role to approach. Sophie is just a genius. She kind of choreographs for a body and not for a person. That aspect of this process for me has been very fulfilling because instead of looking at gender or a specific character, it's like she makes material for the person in front of her so that it suits their body and tells the story and reads well on them. What's really special is we now have this, role that anybody could step into, whether it be a gender fluid person or a non-binary person or even a cis person. And that's such a unique thing for a ballet company to have. Young Elizabeth has so much emotion and gravitas and glamour that it's going to be a really fulfilling experience for any kind of genderqueer person to put themselves into. So for me, it's been a really amazing time creating this part and working with Sophie and just viewing dance for what it is and not making it a binary thing, which is really been beautiful.
The relationship between Sophie and James is perfect for a ballet creation. Sophie will bring this incredibly inventive material. I've never known a choreographer to make such inventive steps. And then James will kind of strip that right back and question what it means and why we're doing that and why are we walking this way and why does our arm move that way. And then we kind of go back and forth, allowing me sort of to input how it feels for me as well. And then eventually that will kind of come to the final version.
They really come at you with a lot of intention and detail and naturalism, and I love working that way. When you approach dance with those ideas, the performance that you get is more authentic and more real.
Sophie is very good in creating movements, cool, very different for a ballet company. Also the dancers are giving her, suggestions. That's the way she wants to work. And James has this, no, this is kind of fake. We have to understand what's happening, what is happening on stage. Through his eyes, it becomes more true or real. That's the word I want to say, yeah.
It's being inside of her head, Elizabeth's memory, basically, that allows us to really be playful with that set.
It was to have a kind of psychological space rather than a realistic space.
Yes.
For the English court scene, young Elizabeth appears on stilts, which has been very, very interesting. I never thought in my professional career I'd work on stilts, but it's been very fun, nerve-wracking. I think when we get on stage, it will be a whole different kind of kit and caboodle to work in a different kind of light and see the auditorium and the orchestra pit. That's kind of making my heart already go oh God. I know I'm 6'3", and then on them I think it's 3 more. When you're on the stilts, you kind of stay moving side to side. You can't really stop moving. Your balance is just completely different to being on your own 2 feet. It shows how powerful Elizabeth was, and she was in charge of all these men. And at that time, it was unheard of for a woman to be the one in power and have this kind of control. I think Sophie really wanted to show the contrast. The guys start on their knees and I'm in stilts, so it's like this duality between us.
When we were approaching about how to explore this on stage, it was always about having a kind of balance between
Modern.
elements of the period. So in the music, there's a kind of period element, but then that gets mashed up with very contemporary rhythms and an electronic score that plays along with the orchestra. So you've got these two things in balance. And exactly the same
with Sutra.
With Sutra Gilmore, who's done costumes, where you've got period references crashing into the kind of 70s punk and 80s pop.
Sutra did an amazing job about the set. I quite like abstract, and so what Sutra gave us is amazing. It's like a drawer of memories in a way. Wardrobes that can open so the dancers can come through, come out of them, and we can create space with them. There's this wall as well that's almost like a semicircle.
The shape of the wall, which is slightly curved edges and then straight down, is exactly the same shape when you look at etchings and drawings of Mary's execution that the crowd made around the platform as they watched her die. So in the end, it puts us into the same shape as that.
They were two powerful queens and two powerful women in a man's world. It's a really big responsibility and an absolute honor to be able to show this, because even though they were vulnerable and they were going through so much in their lives, at the end of the day, they were strong and powerful and, yeah, amazing women.